What's happening, my friend Jomo here, and I wanted to shoot this video. I'm feeling a little under the weather, but came across something that I thought was pretty exciting. Wanted to share with you. For those of you who don't know, in the beginning of 2018, I challenged myself to pay off all of my outstanding bad debts. I'm not talking about debts that are costing you interest, but on the back end, they're actually making you more interest than they're costing you. As an entrepreneur, those are definitely good options. There's lots of good options out there in order to achieve that goal. But I'm talking about bad debts. I'm talking about debts that don't produce any value in your life. They just drain you of the interest that they're costing you every single month. So the goal at the beginning of 2018 was to pay off all of my outstanding bad debts by the end of the year. Now, unfortunately, things came up and I wasn't able to make it happen. So I was a little let down, but the cool thing was I was able to pay off a huge chunk in the process. So like they say, shoot for the moon, at least you end up in the stars. Well, that's what happened to me. So what I discovered by going through this process was that I could pay off a lot more debt a lot faster than I thought was ever possible. So that was my biggest lesson, even though it was a slight failure in the fact that I didn't complete the mission. Sometimes I give myself a hard time for that, but the truth is that I made really good headway, so much so that at the time of making this video, April 2019, I've now paid off 23 to 24,000 out of the original 37,000 that I was in debt for at that time. So I've paid off about 24,000 dollars worth of bad debt in the last year and 3 months. So definitely have been making progress, and I plan to finish that, finish paying off all my bad debts by the end of 2019. So stay tuned to watch me do that. And if any of you guys are interested how I did it, let me know in the comments specifically what you'd like to know. I will say that the biggest debts were student loans, and I had a few credit card debts. I also had a few personal loans that I needed to pay. And at this point, I still have one personal loan that I'm paying off. I've paid off all of my credit cards that were accruing interest, and I have about $12,000 worth in student loans remaining. So, making really good progress, really excited. I was actually online. I just had a conversation with my dad, and I thought to myself, what is a way that, from what I've experienced, I can translate into something that can help him, help my family, help my parents do something that will model what it was that I was able to do. And basically, the key idea and the key concept behind why it was that I decided to pay off my debt so early was because I realized how much interest was really costing me. And I hadn't actually found a calculator until tonight because I hadn't really searched for it. But because I was talking to my dad about how much he has left in his mortgage, I I typed on Google, trusty old Google, typed in uh, mortgage prepayment calculator or mortgage prepayoff calculator. And I came across this tool right here, which is a really nifty, handy tool. Looks like from Vanderbilt Mortgage and Finance. Good work, guys. So this is the early payoff calculator, and you can use this for a mortgage if you want to figure out, how much interest you can save by paying off your mortgage early. Or you can do this with literally any debt that you have, because all debt operates the same. You have interest, the interest accrues in a compounding way, and the only way to get out of the snowball is to pay it off as fast as possible. That's been my personal experience, and you can rationalize it. You could say, well, by not paying off my debt, now I have extra free money that I can spend. But yeah, you're also going to be spending a ton on interest in the meantime. So, is the juice worth the squeeze? I'll leave it up to you to decide. But we're going to go through a quick exercise here so you can kind of open your eyes, open your mind to what's really going on behind the scenes. So, here we are in this calculator. start off with the principal balance owed. And what I'm going to do is take the balance remaining on my student loans and personal loans, and that is 14,000. And the interest on pretty much all of that, pretty much all of my student loans is 6.6%. So we're going to go with that. If I really want to be a stickler, just because, in all honesty, one of the debts is interest free, so I'm basically waiting to pay that off till the very end. But 12,000, well, that's how much I owe in student loans. So the interest on those is 6.6%, and the monthly payment is $126. Now, this is a very important number. This number is how fast you'd like to pay off the debt. So for me, I'd like to pay it off by the end of the year. So to do that math, it's very simple. There's about 9 months left in the month at the time I'm recording this video. It's almost mid-April. So I'm just going to go with 9 months to keep numbers simple. And 9 months, 9 out of 12 months in a year is 0.75 years. So that's why I have 0.75 right here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit calculate now. So pretty cool. Surprisingly, it's pretty high, especially considering, it's going to be paid off within the next year. And in just 1 year, it's essentially going to save me, or basically I won't have to pay this extra amount. So it's going to make me $4,711.28. Now, this additional funds tells you how much extra you'll need to pay each month. If I were to pay it literally 1,244 plus 126 each month, this number is totally accurate. However, I don't plan to do that. The way I've been paying off my debt has been in chunks. So this is kind of like a framework, or kind of a rough approximation. But it's going to be somewhere around 4,000. I would say between $4,000 and $5,000 in savings is what it's going to net me by choosing to pay it off sooner rather than later. And in this case, pay it off by the end of the year. So with that being said, I also wanted to throw in another example to blow your mind. And by the way, you can totally follow along with me. I'll actually include this link below the video so you can check out this calculator. But one more example I want to give you is to look at how much I actually saved over the last year and 3 months by paying off my debts early. And the amount that I've paid off was right around, I'm going to say 23,000. It was between 23 and 24, but I'll round down to 23. So 23,000. And I actually ran into trouble doing this because this is the second time I tried to record this video. Last time I had an error, so hopefully I don't get the same error. Let's actually just check real quick. Okay, so I think it should be good. I was basically using too much of my computer's bandwidth. But anyway, 23,000, and this still 6.6%. It was still 126, and it was 1 year and 3 months. So for those of you guys who are math nerds, 1.25 years. So we'll go right here to calculate. And this is actually the thing that was happening last time. So for some reason, this calculator can't compute 23,000. If I put, let's see, 22,500, can't do that either. So I think it can do 24,000, but it can't do anything in between. No, it can't do 24,000 either. So I'm just going to do 22,000. Hopefully it lets me do it this time. There we go. So literally when I saw this, it blew my mind. Like, how is that possible? Like, I'm only saving, what was it, around 4,000 or 5,000 by paying off 14,000 over the next 9 months. But I actually saved $51,000 by paying off 22, and this is actually lower than it is because it was 23,000. So I saved at least 51 grand by paying off my debts in the amount of time that I paid them off in. And that's just so you understand how that is calculated. It's if I were to continue paying the minimum balance, 126, month in, month out, month in, month out, until the debt is completely paid off. And that's how a lot of the student loan programs kind of push you to do it. They're like, you just have, all you have to do is pay the minimum amount and you're good. And you don't have to think about the interest that is accruing. But trust me, the interest accrues pretty fast and furiously, as you can tell. And actually, to be honest, it doesn't really accrue fast and furiously. It accrues slowly but surely. And that's the inception of the student loan arena. That's why so many people are in student loan debt because they can't afford their debts. And they invested in this program that they thought was going to pay off, but it ends up they can't afford it. And just like when people buy things on a credit card they can't afford, the interest starts accruing and you have no way out. And the scary thing about student loans is it's the one debt instrument that you can't default on. You can't declare bankruptcy and get rid of it. So it's definitely the biggest debt hurdle that I would recommend anyone out there tackle first, especially if it's the highest interest percentage. So if you have some credit cards, you might have some credit cards that are like 20%. I mean, I would actually say pay those off first because that's pretty high. Um, but don't be deceived by just how much it adds up when it comes to student loans. So, and I'm not going to show this in this video, but I literally went through my payment process that I had on my student loans, and I literally was paying them off, paying the monthly amount, the minimum monthly amount for a few years. And it was actually, I took a couple of years off. I went into forbearance, and by the time the forbearance was done, and this was probably over the course of, I think it was actually from when I graduated college to the beginning of 2018. So that was actually like 9 or 10 years. I would say I paid off the minimum amount for about 4 or 5 years, and the rest it was in forbearance. And literally the amount that I still had yet to pay was the exact same number as when I graduated college in 2009. So literally over the course of 10 years, 4 to 5 years of which I was paying the minimum amount, up until 2018, my balance was basically right back to where it started. So interest is very deceptive, and I think that's like the biggest message of this video is don't be deceived by how this shit adds up. So hopefully that blew your mind and was insightful for you. Definitely check out this calculator and play around with some numbers and figure out how much you could save by paying off your debt early, or figure out how much you'd like to pay or how soon you'd like to pay your debt off, and you could play a game and see how much is that going to save you. So I think it's a pretty cool game, and I think it's definitely useful for people who have really high debt, either student loan or mortgage debt. I think when I first entered, I was seeing if this would work for my parents, like how much they could save by paying off their mortgage, and holy shit, I'm not going to do it right here, but literally if you go into this calculator and if you have a mortgage, you put in the amount that you have remaining, you put in your annual interest rate, and then let's say you want to pay it off in the next 5 years or 3 years or 2 years, literally you will be blown away. And I know it might be scary to look at, but you will be blown away by how much you'll save in interest. So just letting you guys know, wanted to make sure that I share this info because I love giving insightful info to you guys. Really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, definitely like this video and leave comments below what you thought and what your goals are. So I want to know, what debts do you have? You don't have to say the exact number, but you can say like 50,000 or 100,000 or 20,000, and how soon would you like to pay it off? I really want to know, because for me, when I made that declaration and I made it publicly, which was on Facebook, like literally my brain had to turn on, how can this happen? How can I do this? So you set the intention and then you're going to figure out a way to make it happen. That's literally how the large majority of reality works, that maybe a lot of people don't want you to know, but you decide what you're going to do and then you execute. So I hope that this gives you some inspiration to actually start taking action to pay down your debts, and to see just how much it's costing you if you're sitting on the sidelines or just paying the minimum amount. So thanks so much for watching. This might have been a tough pill for some of you to swallow, but I like to stick to the truth, the cold hard truth, and this paying off debt experience has definitely taught me a lot of really harsh truths about reality. So I hope that that it blessed you with that same level of